Hello, everyone. Coach here, and today I have an Earth School lesson for everyone. Now, I say this is Earth School 101, but let's face it, Earth School is one of the hardest schools ever. Some may say math is really hard. Some people say science is really hard. Some people say, oh, I understand science and math, but the arts are really tricky for me. I don't want to do any art, or I'm bad at public speaking, or I'm nervous, I'm shy. I don't want to participate in some kind of speech and debate club. All that aside, what we're really here doing is Earth School, which is the school that you never graduate until you literally die. And I'm not talking about the people who die multiple times. Like, there are people who have near-death experiences. There are people who die for a few minutes and then with the defibrillator, they come back to life. I'm not talking about that. I mean, when your soul officially and finally leaves your body to the point where you will reincarnate as someone else in another timeline, in another year, for a completely different purpose. Right. That's assuming you finished out your life purpose in this time around, right? But not to get into those kinds of intricacies, what I want to talk about today is one of the hardest concepts to grasp for Earth School, right? And so when I talk about Earth School, I mean like all of life is a lesson. And I don't mean that like you have to learn a lesson like everything is trying to see you at your worst, like every single circumstance is trying to teach you something. But what I mean is there is a lot to learn spiritually, and this is why a lot of even very intellectual people will get caught up in the ideas of existentialism, nihilism, and pessimism, right? Because we're like, well, there's no reason for living. There's all this war, there's all this crime. Humanity is endangering itself. Humanity is endangering other species on Earth. We're contaminating the Earth. Climate justice is a big topic as well. Police brutality, all these things. That's not to say these things aren't happening. They are happening. But whether they are a part of the capital T truth and a reflection of the capital R reality is another thing. Now, what if I were to tell you that everything you experience on Earth, everything you experience, sober or otherwise, everything you experience on planet Earth, everything we all experience on planet Earth, no matter what our mental state is or our sober status is a simulation, virtual reality, augmented reality, video game. But it's meta, right? And what trips us up about thinking, oh, this is my reality, well, I'm not satisfied with this. When we're not satisfied with our reality, it is because we do not understand that that is not our reality. And that is why it is misaligned for us, because it is not real. None of this is real. Okay. So if I pick up this spoon, I can bite on it and it's hard and I'm feeling it. I can knock it against my teeth. I can even feel it kind of hurts because I need some dental work, right? But what I mean to say is this illusion is so powerful. This simulation is so powerful. It feels real. But if we remember that we are made of the flesh so we can humble ourselves and so we can feel, right? And a lot of us will say, well, if I can't see it, smell it, taste it, hear it, touch it for myself, it is not real. And that's why we have a lot of skeptics. That's why a lot of people aren't into spirituality, because they think it's religion. But spirituality is, you can almost think of it as another form of wellness. I'm going to put this spoon down. It's another form of wellness that helps connect us with our mental health, our mental wellness, so we don't get caught up and lost in the matrix. Because imagine that what you tell yourself is real, your truth, your reality, your perspective. Like, I experienced these things growing up. And then someone else were to tell you, oh, I was there and I didn't experience that. But they're your friend. And then another person experiences it and was there and tells you, I experienced something totally different. But that's your mom. And they mean no harm in telling you their experience was different. But they're gaslighting you, right? Because they're gaslighting your reality. They're telling you your reality isn't real. But the big thing is why there are so many different perspectives. One, it's important that there are so many different perspectives, but the reason why there's so many different perspectives, imagine life as a video game, Earth School as a video game. If we're all different characters, we're all playing the different levels and we're going through them through our own paths. So we're different characters in a storybook, different characters in a storyline, right? So our perspectives are going to vary person to person. They're also going to be shaped by our identity, shaped by the BS or the truths that people have told us throughout our lives, things we choose to believe, things we choose not to believe, things we are curious about, things we're confused about, and past experiences, whether we've healed from them, whether they need to be healed from or not, whether they're relevant subject matter or not. But really important to zoom out and imagine and remember that we chose to incarnate in these physical vessels, in these bodies. And we are not the body. We have the body, but it's almost like having an avatar or a sim character. This, even though it makes a sound while I bang on my chest, just because I can feel it doesn't mean it's real. Okay? And that's the biggest mind blank, right? Because what trips humans up the most is we think, I need to see it to believe it. I need the proof. Okay? But now if we think about our blind friends, proof doesn't come visually to them. If we think about our deaf friends, hearing a sound isn't necessarily truth or proof for them. For folks who have sensation loss, when they touch or when they are touched by physical objects, this is also not necessarily proof of something existing or not existing. I had a friend growing up who couldn't smell. So if a smell is there or other people are smelling something, just because other people are smelling things, one, doesn't mean it's real, doesn't mean it's provable. And just because the person who can't smell anything ever at all doesn't smell something also does not negate or affirm whether that smell has anything to do with anything. Now, as someone who has different clairs, I have, clairaudient, clairgustient, all the clairs, claircognizant, clairvoyant, right? Seeing, hearing, feeling, and even smelling and tasting things that are quote unquote not there has been a real interesting experience for me because through this, then I get to explore the metaphor, the symbolism, like, why does it smell like crap in here? Well, if I don't see around me anything that smells bad, it doesn't necessarily mean there is not something toxic in the shadows, okay? That does not mean there is nothing rotting around me, okay? And if we think like that, if we think like that hallucinations or psychic sensations, as some people will call them, depending on your view of things, right? You know, when it comes to those relevant to the 5 human flesh-based senses, but other people around are like, it's not real. Even the person sensing it is like, I know this is not real because nothing is in front of me, but well, let me think about what real means. Because often the realist real of everything is what we cannot sense with the 5 senses. In fact, these are the flesh failures. This is what makes humans kind of blissfully ignorant, right? Because we're caught up in what we can do and what we can prove with our own bodies. Not that the bodies aren't beautiful, you know, not saying that. Not that the bodies aren't capable of all kinds of things, but we also limit ourselves when we think about these senses. So I'm not going to talk too much more about sixth sense things, but just wanted to add this little framework in for those who are interested in just imagining, like if we're thinking about ascended masters, if we're thinking about spirits, even loved ones that have gone, you know, have passed on, that continue to watch and guide over us, other spiritual guides, archangels, if we're thinking like even extraterrestrials and spiritual beings and other species from other planets, other dimensions, you know, other quote unquote realities, then we can kind of take that zoom out and recognize that we're like on the Truman Show. And all of those beings, I said, and no matter what you believe in, I would hope that majority of us at least have some respect for the dead and specifically deceased humans in our lives, those we knew personally or those we looked up to for inspiration, and understand that they still exist as souls, as spirits. They may even have reincarnated as other beings in our current lifetime right now, in this current simulation of reality on Earth School. But one of the hardest lessons to understand on Earth School is not gravity, and it is not even the concept of physics, of matter cannot be created or destroyed. Not even that. We're going even deeper. It's slightly philosophical, slightly theological, very esoteric, and very, very spiritual. But I want you to think about it. Like, imagine, because this is why there is conflict when someone negates, quote unquote, what we say and think has happened and transpired, and why there is so much hurt and upset when we feel like someone is gaslighting us. And the truth of the matter is, everyone's perspective is right and wrong, because we're all focusing on the wrong things. and we're kind of missing the point. And